Hi there, this is Jim Horan from Key Largo for the Florida Keys Bartender Show. I'm here with Steve. I'm going to turn off the music. Hey, Steve, can you hear me?
Hey,
Okay,
how are you?
good. I'm working with a new headset here. How do I sound?
Okay, cool. You sound really good, very crisp.
Okay, better than normal?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm not smoking as much crack as I normally do right before the shows.
that's good.
Yeah, no
That's
no
good.
heroin, no crack. That's the new mantra for the shows going forward. You know, COVID free and crack and heroin free. Um, so,
I like
uh,
it.
yeah, I was going to call. I had three ideas for this episode. We can still talk
Okay.
about it. I was thinking one question, since you're the owner of Key Largo Comics, was um, it was going to be, can Superman beat Thor? And then I thought, no, wait, let's get even more controversial. Can Jesus beat
Yeah.
Muhammad? You know?
Oh my God, I think I know more about the first one.
Yeah, I know. Well, can Jesus beat Muhammad? And I think, well, and I don't know how far down the list we are as a podcast if we could get a jihad called on us, because about a year and a half ago we did have a listener in Iran, and if I started
Really?
speculating that Jesus could beat Muhammad, which, because the guy's a scrappy dude, probably because he was a carpenter, he could beat
Yeah.
a guy who was a merchant, maybe, who knows.
Right. Sure.
And then all this shit happened yesterday. It was brilliant. I'm glad we weren't doing a show, but uh, the Trumpster went on during a news conference. Did you hear what he said? It was
With the
brilliant.
disinfectant?
It was comedy genius.
The disinfectant?
Yes. He's in the middle
Yeah.
of a conference, and folks, if you haven't seen it, just Google. I know politics sucks, but you know what? This guy does it to himself. So he's in the middle of a news conference. Dr. Burks is sitting
Yeah.
off to the side, and he
Mhm.
starts, freewheeling. It turned out, now this is the background of the story. The head of the Department of Homeland Security, right, is discussing the best ways to disinfect surfaces, right, using
Right.
disinfectant. And he mentions disinfectant. He mentions sunlight, where there's some controversy coming with the sunlight, whether that's real or not, how effective that is. But so he goes up there and he goes, well, he just like he got this new information, but I don't think he quite understood. He
No.
he heard something, that disinfectant would work with killing the virus on surfaces and maybe
Right.
sunlight. And he made
Right.
his pea brain logic was, well, if we could just get that inside people, if it kills it, get UV
Sure.
light and disinfect it in that to clean out their lungs, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what he said. And he
Yeah.
looks over at Dr. Burks, and it says, you know what? I can paraphrase because they deny everything, but it's on tape. And he says, you're working on it, right? You're working on that stuff like that. And um, and you just see her sitting there, like her eyes start twitching and winking, and
Oh yeah.
and
Oh,
she's like,
yeah.
she puts her head down, and like,
She was
oh my
frozen.
God,
Yeah.
it's just as if, oh my God, I don't even know what to compare it to. Like, uh, I I I really don't know how to compare it to, uh, in public, what that's like. But is it as if you're sitting there being roasted? It's like it looks similar to one of those Comedy Central roasts,
Right.
and then someone was going to get up and say something completely devastating. But this person wasn't necessarily saying it about Dr. Birx, but he's saying something that was so harmful to their cause. Like they're always having to cover up for something he said, like the hydrochloroquine or whatever, something like that, the stuff that was supposedly for malaria, and now it turns out, it's disavowed. And so,
Right.
so he says all this stuff, and it's 16 hours. 16 hours later, the new press secretary comes out and says, "You took it out of context." You took it out of context. Now, he said it directly. He was talking to the press and referring to the doctor. And then later on, this is today, he's signing a bill. And someone from the press asked him, and he goes, "That's sarcasm." Now, I don't know if he understands that that's sarcasm and how it works, humor, because it's supposed to elicit a laugh or something like that. It's not supposed to. A sarcasm is not necessarily eliciting shock in people, and as a graphic tool by the leader of the United States, it may not really be good during a pandemic. And there's a lot of people out there. I still see them on Facebook, and they go, "Oh my God, he gave his whole $400,000 salary to some type of charity," right? It's like some guy who just got it was like someone who just got a $500 payday, and he tosses a quarter into a fountain, and you make a big deal, and it's like, "Oh my God, he gave a quarter to the fountain," like, yeah, he just made hundreds of millions of dollars. His companies that they're looting, through personal contracts to the government and to the Secret Service and his golf courses and stuff like that. So he gives back $400,000. They make a big deal about it. And then they're talking about I saw another posting. Someone says, "Oh well, some scientists did say that thing about the sunlight, and the sunlight thing is incorrect." But it was so bad. Now, just so people know this, Steve, that Lysol, a company, Lysol put out a press release suggesting to make sure you don't ingest disinfectant. Do not ingest disinfectant. It's not suggested. It's not a proper use for it. And rarely do private companies get involved with that. They just sit it out and they say, "Well, we don't have anything." We're saying, "Oh my God, someone's listing our product. That's a good way to do it." And here they're going to kind of have to say, "But don't drink it."
It's insane. I mean,
because Tito's didn't come out. Think about it. Tito's didn't come out and said, or Tito's, any vodka companies didn't come out and say you can't use this to kill the coronavirus. It wouldn't really harm you if you're rubbing it on your body. They just sell more of it. It's not like it could give you a false sense of security, but you wouldn't get any sicker than you would from drinking the product. But they're thinking of liability right here. They're going, "Oh my God!"
Of course.
Yeah. So
they're basically just covering their ass. They got to cover their ass. They can't just let people out there start drinking their product without putting out some kind of statement.
And people are calling in to helplines and 311s or 411s to get information, saying how much disinfectant do you need to ingest.
How stupid! It's unbelievable.
These are people that believe him, so they have a very low bar. They have a very low bar for the need of proof, because when they tell them, it's well, it's all phony, fake news. The media's trumping it up. You know what I mean? The media. Well, he said it. That were that's his words. And obviously we don't have I imagine most of the supporters don't listen to the show anymore. Even some of my friends, they're still supporters. They're nice people, but they mean well. But I don't know what they're doing. But I'm going to give a little lesson. So, just so you know, if if you got something in your cabinet and it says scented, if something's lemon scented or lavender scented,
Yeah.
or you don't drink it. Scented, you don't drink.
Right.
You don't put it inside your body if it's scented. They don't scent cough drops to make it, they flavor. So if something's flavored, you don't use it as a disinfectant, because flavored means you're supposed to taste it. So cherry flavored, orange flavored,
Right.
flavored. If something's scented, don't drink. If something's flavored, don't use it as a disinfectant. Unless it's grain alcohol. Grain alcohol, lemon scented grain out. Well, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Because you really shouldn't really drink grain alcohol, because that could kill you, but you do. So it's flavored. Okay, let's say lemon flavored grain alcohol actually can be used as a disinfectant and can be drank in a moderate amount. So that's one of the few flavored things you can use as a disinfectant. But you should always ask your doctor. And don't ask the doctors, don't ask the doctors if Trump's doctors, because they may be getting bad advice. They could have went to Trump. Maybe they went to Trump University.
Yeah.
If you have a doctorate from Trump University, they it's amazing the amount of information he gets, and then he runs with it. So I can imagine how exciting that could be in a meeting. I can't wait until after it, because there's going to be some really good stories. People are going to say, he's going to get so used to doing, because if he's still, God forbid he wins another term, but if he's still doing press conferences, I hope NASA gives him, and I don't think it'll be included, NASA gives him a briefing, right? And let's say they give him a briefing that we're going to be sending a probe around the sun, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to take a year, let's say. We're going to slingshot around the sun. We're going to look at its corona. We're going to put it into the outer atmosphere. We're going to have the heat thing in there. So Trump is going to go back, and he come back in a conference. It goes like this. And then he'll just go, well, we're going to be doing a probe to the sun in the next 2 years. And then I think probably we'd be able to do a manned mission there to land on the surface of the sun. That would be great.
Yeah, sure.
That would be great. And he says, oh, you know what? And then he'd go and say, hey, and you know what won't last on the sun? COVID-19. Because heat will kill it. UV rays. So, and yeah, I would love to hear that. Or if he fell asleep, let's say he's doing a briefing and he just watched The Walking Dead.
Right.
Oh my God! Oh, and there's so many zombie things that you could talk about. There's zombie references people use like even in social media, people use zombie references, and I can see him talking about that. I wish there was a news source. If we can just get a regular Fox host to go nutso maybe one time and talk about zombies and aliens and something like that for a little while. Someone in respect, like Sean Hannity, if you started talking about it, and a couple of them, and they'd get in sync, and then just have him, the craziest shit in the world. Just do that. That would be showing. I would have so much respect for Fox News if they could say, hey, listen, he's our bitch. Watch what we say now and watch what he says next. You know what I mean?
Right.
And put it in a sealed envelope, put in like a time capsule, and say, open this next year. And then you open it up and it says, we got him to say all this stuff about zombies, werewolves, Frankenstein's monster, all during a press conference. And people would just sit there looking about it, just waiting for it. And if there's other forms of governments out there. I think Israel has a prime minister and a president. you know.
Right.
And the president,
Yep.
that president is the head of state, and the prime minister is the head of government. What they could have done is, if we should have had that system,
Right.
you know, because that would have made, as a head of state, that may have been very exciting, because the head of state has no real power.
Right.
Or we can just say, if he
could be like
a king, we'll just
he could
say,
be like
hey,
like
give him a crown.
like
When he loses, hope he loses in 2020. If you lose the election, and he says he doesn't want to leave office, just say, hey, listen, we got something better. We're going to call you emperor. We're going to make you an emperor.
Yeah, it's perfect for like a reality TV show.
Yeah, and we're going to put you on every night, and we're going to give you a crown and an orb, and you can sit on a throne. An orb, yeah. You can sit there and hold the orb and on the crown and just make announcements, and we could just kind of, we could send people. We'll send like the B team press corps to be with him.
Sure.
And have certain people just, have the B team, all the B team surrounding him, and he could just sit there and make his pronouncements every night. And people say, "Oh, it's 7:00. The emperor is going to be on."
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be so exciting! And just sit there and says, "Don't worry, he used to be president." And the shit he said was really important. Now he's just the emperor, so it really doesn't matter. And it would be, and you could just put, and you can have his regular networks. You can have like Fox and One American News. Just give him the news for what he thinks there is going on. Kind of like make it like North Korea news, fake news.
Yeah, his version.
His version, give him them. And then he can listen to it. And then the rest of the other people, it'd be kind of like giving him the little toy steering wheel that babies used to have in cars. And he goes, I'm steering a car. I'm the king of the castle. I'm here and stuff like that. And that would be so exciting.
Right.
At 7:00 every night. And it would be, once again, he could talk about it. I have the highest rated show. Look at this. 7:00, Emperor Trump. So,
that's a good idea.
You like it?
I like it.
Okay. So we're going to
move on to,
okay. Well, I'm going to talk about Superman and Thor, and then I'm going to make an uncomfortable transfer and make it about religion. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. You're the expert.
I can help you with the first one. But,
Superman and Thor?
Yeah, probably.
How can it's like two different universes?
Well, you got the DC universe and the Marvel universe, of course.
Okay, well,
I mean, they don't normally cross over, if you will, but I mean, there have been a few comics where they've crossed over.
There was the biggest one I think I remember was Superman and Spider-Man back in 1976.
Right.
I had the copy of it. I don't know if I still have it someplace.
It was that big treasury-sized comic, yeah.
Yeah.
They were both on the cover. Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
that's a classic cover.
It is a classic cover, and I think they put Spider-Man in the foreground and Superman in the background because Superman is so much bigger than Spider-Man. He was
right.
And they hit Superman with red kryptonite to make him weaker, and gave a boost to Spider-Man, and he was in space too. And I don't know, but it's kind of, I mean, people really have these debates. I get these debates. Superman versus Thor. Like,
yeah.
It's like, who's going to Dracula? Remember the show? It was Dracula versus Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, Dracula in the book. The book Dracula was much more powerful than Frankenstein.
Frankenstein was just a big, strong, OP guy.
Yeah, he could maybe squeeze you. He could squeeze you to death, and he was like a zombie too, right? He moved like really slow.
Right.
I mean, you could put a couple obstacles in front of him. If you put like a couple traffic cones, you could really slow him down.
Right.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah, slow him down. Put a traffic cone, maybe like
make him go around it.
Yeah, a Tonka truck. He could fall. He could slip over that, or but
yeah.
And Wolfman was just a bigger wolf.
Yeah.
Like a big dog, a smart dog, a big smart dog. Yeah. Which I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. And what else? The Mummy. Oh my God. What
the Mummy.
The Mummy.
The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh my God. Yeah. He moved kind of slow. The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
That was restrictions of the makeup thing. Yeah. What was his great? He was a little stronger, pretty good swimmer.
Yeah.
Could hold his breath.
Yeah, real good in the water.
I mean, how he sneak up? How did he sneak up behind anybody? Fishy.
He got him when they were in the water.
I know, but if he'd come out of the water too, right? Remember?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and you got slapping feet and all that stuff.
Yeah, and, he's mainly like in the swamp.
What?
He was like mainly in the swamp,
Okay, how about the Mummy? Now the Mummy,
the
newer Mummy, had magical skills and all that stuff.
Right,
could
the
conjure
movie,
things.
Yeah.
The old Mummy, he moved real slow too, and I still didn't know what his power was.
Yeah, those old monsters were lame.
Yeah, I mean I guess if you're really frightened, it'd be like being, when you're real ticklish and you're powerless. Right? When someone's making you laugh real hard, and then you can have like a 3-year-old bitch slap you. That happens. I mean, when I'm laughing real hard, I'm a pushover. I could be taken down. I'm not a MMA fighter at all. I'm a big guy, but I mean, you get me laughing. I'm the worst. I mean,
really, that's your weakness?
One of my weaknesses. I imagine if I was terrified, that would be one too. I haven't been terrified. People always talk about stuff, how they react like in an emergency. You never know, depending on what kind of thing it is. The fight or flight.
Right.
When you freeze. Sometimes you freeze. Sometimes you think it's how you're motivated. Like if you hear. Some people hear gunshots and freeze, and other people hear gunshots and run toward them.
Spring into action. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not an innately brave or cowardly thing. It's kind of a limbic reaction.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Yeah, it's your brainstem kicking in,
right?
And your nervous system and stuff like that. But So we're back to the Thor and Superman and stuff like that. Thor was not necessarily fast. I mean, Superman's fast and all that stuff. It's always like Superman because they just make him. Thor's supposedly a god, but Superman can move planets.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you move?
Right.
How do you move a planet unless you're like? Because you can't. His hands are not much bigger than my hands, right?
Right.
So if he tried to lift up an aircraft carrier, his hands would go through the steel because the steel wouldn't support it. He'd just make 2 holes in the bottom of it. His body actually would probably go right through it because he's trying to hold. The small area would not be able to support it. People just don't understand the physics of lifting something super heavy.
Oh, well, physics go out the window in comics. That's the first thing you got to understand.
Yeah,
90%
and well, we
of
always
the
talk to
90% of the shit makes no sense because they would just sink into the ground, or they'll, you know what I mean. So.
And the act of flying. What is flying? It's not.
Right.
It's not
What's
a
propellant? Yeah.
Yeah. What are you being propelled by? And just squeezing your
Right.
fist go faster. Hawkman was the one thing you'd see it. I mean, just those things. That's why I thought, well, might as well say Jesus. Who would fight when Jesus Buddha, Jesus Muhammad, Jesus Vishnu, right? Two different
Right.
universes, two different superpowers.
Yeah.
God, the universe. I mean, it's probably easier to say with elements. What elements would be like? Would plutonium beat hydrogen, right? Or uranium?
Oh.
Because
Right.
you can quantitatively say when you build a fission bomb, it produces this much energy. Right?
Yeah.
You take one mole, one mole. I remember enough from chemistry. The unit when you get a certain whatever Avogadro's number about of these atoms together, that's how you devise atomic weight, and it would equal this amount, and you create, you take one of these materials that create a nuclear reaction, and then you can have a quantifiable answer to it. They do this in well, I guess the best way is on the computer. They do it with old heavyweight fighters.
Right.
Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali, or Mike Tyson versus one of these new guys. Who's the Gypsy King? You ever follow? You're not a big fighter. You're not a big boxing thing. You're more NASCAR, right?
Yeah, I thought a little boxing.
Yeah, I was always like a heavyweight. I was always in the heavyweight boxers.
Back in the day when like Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, and I watched all those guys.
Oh, that was amazing. Well, before when I was a kid, it was Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, those three, and then you had Ken Norton, Larry Holmes, all those guys come out, and it was exciting. Leon and Michael Spinks, they were actually funny, those guys, because they boxers years ago in the 50s and 40s, they made fun of boxers being stupid, right?
Right.
And then you had Muhammad Ali.
Right.
You could call Muhammad Ali a lot of things, but you could never call Muhammad Ali stupid.
Right.
That guy could string together words, and words are emblematic of intelligence. And he would go on and say shit like that. And even Joe Frazier would be able to somewhat come back at this stuff. They weren't stupid guys.
Right,
and then, until come along the Spinks brothers. They
were pretty dumb.
They were dumb. And they were there for a little while, just a short time, and then Tyson came back, and I forget if it was Leon Spinks or Michael Spinks in 30 seconds. 30 seconds in the ring, maybe. Michael Spinks. It was boom, 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 and it fell over. Oh, God. Tyson destroyed him. And then that's all Tyson did for a while. People go in there, shit themselves in the ring, and he'd beat the crap out of him until, who was the guy?
Right.
Who was the big guy that got him?
His name was, the guy that finally beat him, Buster Douglas.
Yes.
Buster
Douglas. And then he came back and fought Evander Holyfield. That's quantifiable. They showed it. They had Muhammad when the computer programs came out, started coming out, and they started putting Muhammad Ali versus Rocky Marciano.
Right.
I mean, I always tried to think because there was no, and for the longest time you go like this, and I hate to bring it up. I grew up with a thing. It's like there's no way. I mean, there's no way a white guy was ever going to beat one of these black guys, black American heavyweight contenders, and they were the best. And it was like this. It just took it for granted. It's like just it. They just don't. We just don't
What
have
about
it. What?
What about Jerry Cooney, the Great White Hope?
Jerry Cooney got his ass kicked every time. They kept on right. They kept on building him up. I think Don King brought him in. You just did it. It was one of those things. It was blatant. It was a blatant use of race. Oh
right.
my God! With Jerry Cooney, good-looking guy, but he got his ass kicked each time. And then until these Eastern Europeans came out, you know.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when the Soviet Union, you know, all I have to do is become a great boxer. I realize you do need to have athletic ability and strength and stuff like that. But throw some poverty at him, some poverty. Then a lot of poverty. Throw some poverty. These poor Eastern European countries that were coming out, and then you had the Klitschko brothers, and a couple Russian giants, and I mean, these guys in Eastern Europe and all the way out to Siberia, they're fighting, and you go, holy crap! And then they come out, and then you got Tyson Fury, and then you have the regular balance back again. You got Eastern Europeans, some British guys, African Americans. There's just not enough poor white guys in the United States to come up with a good, you know what I mean? Communities to come up with some good heavyweights. Right. Yeah, it's just they go into football or you know what I mean? They're going into more other types of strength sports that take. But boxing is one of these things that if you're not in the top 3 or 4, you're gonna get you're ruined by the time you make it to 30.
Right.
Even the great ones, you're ruined. It's not. I mean, we always talk about football players and stuff like that way. Think about the greats. They get ruined. The linemen, the running backs, some of the quarterbacks that get, what was the guy from Denver? Elway. Christ.
Yeah. Quarterbacks probably have the longest longevity out of any of them. But
yeah. So the old school quarterbacks that would come out of the pocket and get crushed. Oh, well, Theismann. That was when they had the leaky coverage and stuff like that. So, that's the only one where you think like this with in sports and all that stuff. But when it comes to superheroes and stuff like that, it's almost like Hot or Not. Remember the website Hot or Not?
Yeah.
And you go and say, you just got to give a bunch of people make a girl. She's an 8 or a 9, and this girl's a 6. So that's the only way. It's a matter of opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because it's a different universe. But I mean, I think that boxing is the most pure and sport, regular sports. So I know I've taken us on a little journey here, but I had an exciting day. I performed a marriage ceremony earlier today.
Really?
Yep.
Where?
In Key Largo. It was just the wedding couple. They called me up a little over almost 2 weeks ago, and they wanted to know if I could perform a service for them. I told them I could, and I went there. Yeah, that's what I did about an hour before I got on the phone with you.
Really? Are you like legally allowed or able to do that? Do you need a license or something?
I'm not allowed to do that or perform any surgeries either, but that doesn't stop me. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm a notary. I'm a notary. Of course.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a notary. Oh, you think I get I understand how some people think I'm crazy. I do.
Not at all.
I have the
Not at
reputation.
all.
I have the reputation people saying it's like I am a notary, so notaries in Florida can it's called the solemnization of marriage.
Okay, I didn't know
And
that.
all
All
you
right,
do
very
is
good.
you're pretty much overseeing the affirmations. You know, you ask the two, are you entering into this marriage of sound mind?
Hmm.
And to see that have the
Hmm.
paperwork, to see that there are the two people that are, the ones that are getting married, and you affix your signature. And a lot of times,
Okay.
and this is what I do, you forward the uh, paperwork to the county clerk. That's it.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well,
Huh.
and it's yeah. That's why I have that. I have that website, the Keys Notary.
You do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I go and do, if someone needs, nowadays you could do electronic notarization. I don't get that, because you get someone that certifies you online that this is you because you have certain information that someone else, you can pass it through the internet, but it's in
Right.
person where you're getting a look at the person and all that stuff. They're not looking at a camera photo of you when you do electronic notification. It just means you've gotten a social security card.
Wow.
There is just a chance. I don't get how they do electronic notification, remote notarization. But if they could do that, why do you need me to do the solemnization? But they still do. What I do is I offer my services to like lawyers who are like in Broward or out of state, and they can forward me paperwork.
Uh,
And as a notary, I can go someplace and get someone to sign. And as a notary, I can notarize their signature. I could go
okay.
to the person, and you need documents signed. I go to their person, I check their identification, I notarize their
Hmm.
signature, and then I can submit it, either send it back to them or submit it in court. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was
Hmm.
thinking about doing like a bail bondsman thing.
Right.
That's what you and I should do.
Yeah.
Hunt people that lose their bond.
Like Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
and the Keys, man. It's not that crazy in the Keys.
You don't think so? I don't know. There's a
Well,
lot
it
of
could
crazy
be.
people down here.
Some of them are bad. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that badass, and the people that work for him wasn't that badass.
Yeah.
They were in horrible shape too.
Yeah, they were.
The people. I mean, it's like they just went in there with pepper spray and and folding batons and stuff like that, and zip ties and handcuffs. So
Right.
so if you go in there and just say you're just going after, oh well, you go and look for money. That it sucks for police officers because if you got to look for somebody and they don't get paid for it, you got to apprehend somebody. But a bondsman could go and when it's skip tracers, just go in and
Right.
find a person, you get the money and say, hey, listen, you get the deposit or whatever. You get a portion of the deposit, whatever it is. Like if it's a five
I don't
thousand
know.
dollar bond, you get it, $500, $400. That could be worth it.
Right.
Go and get them and for them, give us some money.
I'm in.
Put them in
Yeah,
a
I'm
little
in.
trailer. Have a little trailer. We can put fan in there and some seats. You know, bring them along.
Right.
Just don't bang up our trailer. So that'll be like Keys Notary and Bounty Hunter. Your
Jack of
bounty
all
hunters.
trades.
Your bounty hunters in the Keys.
Like it.
We could bring Lizzie with us. Go get him, Lizzie.
She loves that stuff.
She does. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, she watches all those kind of TV shows and everything.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. She'd be in.
yeah. So these people that got married, they just wanted to know if I'd do it, and I was comfortable doing it. I said, why? Yeah, that's what I do. Brought my mask and did everything safe. But in other states they're opening up, like Georgia, they're opening up. What are they opening up? Tattoo parlors. You know
Yeah,
that?
sure.
They're opening up
That's
restaurants
crazy.
and tattoo parlors and stuff like that.
Right.
I think, I like tattoo parlors. I have a tattoo. You have tattoos, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah. I have. I just got one last year, and
Okay.
I just think they overestimate because people are away for a month. They were thinking, man, I miss getting a tattoo.
Yeah, not seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, a haircut, maybe. A massage.
Yeah.
A sensual massage, maybe. Right?
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? I'm not saying that you know about it. I'm just saying that you understand that there would probably be an interest in someone getting a sensual massage.
I suppose, yeah.
I didn't say sexual massage. I said sensual. SENSUAL.
Okay, there's a difference.
Yes. Sexual is a personal thing where that involves tipping and negotiation. Which
I wouldn't know.
You don't know? Oh, let me tell you about it.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, there's a certain time you're having, between you and the female masseuse at a certain type establishment. Normally, the establishment is not medically approved. Your HMO most likely would not cover it. It usually has a theme to it, has a theme with the name. It could be called Tokyo Gardens, Hong Kong Palace, any type of Asian massage, right?
Yeah.
That's usually a key to it. And if they suggest our lovely models, when they say lovely models, they don't mean the kind of scale models like NASCAR or airplanes.
Right.
Yeah. So you go in there and you're getting general massage, and it's not Reiki, it's not a deep tissue. Generally, just kind of rubbing you, and they're in the towel, and then you start talking. You start saying, "Well, and how is that? And what would you like?" And I go, "Well, I'm I'm not giving direct knowledge that I did this. All I'm saying is, excuse me, 1 second. I'm just saying that I know how to negotiate." And then you say, "Well, what else can we have?" And then you go from there, and it's a step-by-step process. It's positive confirmations. It's much like you would have if you were going to have sex with someone in college. Can I do this? Can I do that? But in this case, you'll be mentioned, well, what would $20 get me? What would $40 get me? How much was that? $50? Oh, $100? Okay. And that's how it happens, and you just do it, and they just make sure. And they say, "Oh, what do you do for a living? Are you a police officer? Are you a law enforcement agency?" That's usually one of the things they normally ask you, but that doesn't have. But they're opening up. I'll get off this because I can get a lot of trouble. I hope Abby doesn't listen to this one.
Very enlightening.
Yeah, but they're going to be opening retail stores too, and they're going to do curbside pickup. Now
For
think
retail
about that.
stores?
Retail.
Okay, yeah.
Now,
I mean,
listen. If it's retail, that means you got to go online. You got to find out what they have, that it's
yeah,
available in the store, that it's
right.
available in your size, color, right? You got to make sure that
Sure.
thing's there. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work. You're going to be putting your things, doing this, then that, and if it's for clothing and shoes and stuff, you're pretty much going to be putting in the size you think will work for you, and then they're going to meet you
Right.
outside and give you that curbside service. Now, for certain like electronics, all I think it's like it's Amazon or online ordering for people that don't want to wait.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's going to get so confusing that they're going to end up having a 2-day, 3-day backlog, and people are going to look at it and say, "Why didn't I just order it online?" I really
I
believe
think this whole
this is going to
yeah.
be the death of retail. It was
That's what I was
happening.
just about.
It was happening already,
Oh yeah, for sure.
People are starting to think they're going to start thinking about sizes and stuff like that. With shoes, when I have to buy sports shoes or sneakers, you have to
Yeah.
do a little research when you do it.
Right.
Like I'm a size 11 and a half wide. If it's not wide, it's got to be 12, and it's got to be 12 medium for me. And then I got to check the comments to see how the shoe came in or sneaker. And the people say, well, it comes in a
Right.
little small, so that means you got to go a little larger.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
man, I swear to
Exactly.
God, 90% of the time it works just as good as going to the store.
Yeah.
So,
Totally agree. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I think this is going to be the end of malls and retail stores, et cetera, for sure.
yep.
They're not going to survive this. They're not going to survive. They were already on the downswing with Amazon coming up and everything.
What this did was gave people a crash course in the
Right.
services they were able to access over the internet.
Yeah.
So now they say, well, I
And
get all my food, I can get my clothes, I can get everything like this. Oh, I can even talk to people and stuff like that. Now,
those. Yeah.
yeah, now tattoo parlors still going, massage parlors, yes. There's not
Yeah.
unless well, even with I guess you
You
can
can't do
order
that
it.
online.
You can't do the tattoo online. Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
And one of the last
Maybe
things,
eventually they'll be able to send some sort of laser through your computer or something, but not yet.
you're right. You're right. They're going to be like a 3D printer. I mean,
Right.
that'd be a very specific thing. The tattoo, putting a needle in your skin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to cover is like the crime statistics. I've thought, and people have made passing reference to what the quarantine has done to crime. What I had my guesses before I did a little research. So,
I mean, I would say initially that it would, lower crime rates, but I think in the long run it might increase them, over the long run.
Some
As people
cities they
grow
saw
more
it, but
and more.
after they said murder and assault went way down
Mm-hmm. Sure.
because of the criminals and the victims weren't getting together. So,
Right.
Sex assault, assault, robbery, down. Domestic violence way up, which you'd think, and bank,
Yeah.
mail, assorted fraud up because I guess
Yeah.
a lot of people that are used to robbery, they're going to have to go in. I mean, especially if you're doing like you break into people's houses and steal things. The best time to do it when people aren't at home.
Right.
One of the things I think probably really taking a hard time for people, or the people that actually the old school, and they're the smallest minority of it, the pickpockets, the 3-card
Mm-hmm.
Monte people, You know, the people out there
Yeah.
that are used to crowds and stuff. You're a pickpocket. You're the only person. You know, you're downtown Chicago, and there's three people on the
Yeah.
street, and you're walking down the street, and
Yeah.
you're a pickpocket. You got to walk all the way down the street, come up behind that person, and you're the only person for like 50 yards, and that person's
Yeah.
not going to be thinking about that. The pickpockets used to work in a crowd.
Right.
They're doing a hard time. Gypsies are taking a big hit. I don't mean that. I'm not talking about the ethnic group gypsies, the people that behave like that, because there's Irish people like that. All these, they call the travelers. Uh, there's
Hmm.
all different ethnic groups where the people do have that. That's their scam. They do it on purpose. They do door to
Sure.
door. The meat. Oh my God. Do you know about the door to door meat trade, frozen meat trade?
No.
Okay.
Is that like Omaha steaks or something?
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that, where
Yeah.
they go and they say, "Oh, listen, this is great," and it's pretty much what everyone else does. They're saying you don't have to go out and buy it. We give it to you frozen. It's in a shrink wrap. It doesn't get freezer burn. You get it and
Right.
stuff like that. You put it in there, and they can even lease you a freezer. You know what I mean? And
Right.
they sell meats, and that's their deal and stuff like that. And it's work on commission. These It was a thing, and
Yeah.
actually, I thought it was gone because I remember someone trying to get me to do that when I was in college over
Right.
35 years ago, and I saw it like 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, right? And
Yeah.
I saw somebody drive down the street with a truck like that before this shit happened. But
Yeah.
door to door, how's that happening
Wow.
now? Look, if you're
Not happening.
selling magazines, the magazine thing. You ever had that? People come and tell me, I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah. Yeah.
recover from
Sure.
addiction. I'm supposed to do this. I was living on Marlin Avenue, and this nice looking young girl came up, and she's trying to sell me. She goes, "Oh, you work out? You're in good shape." No, I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" She wants to sell magazines,
Yeah.
and she's not going
Right.
to do anything. She's trying to flirt and try to get me to sign up, buy like $100 a year worth of magazines. She gets like 25, 30, $50 for it. And I
Right.
guess the best of them do that. What else? Door to door. Kids. Well, obviously, no kids are selling candy. Um,
No. Yeah.
Jehovah Witnesses.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. How they going to get in there? How they going to get moved up on the tier if they can't convert people? Mormons. If you're doing mission, if you're on your missionary stuff, I
Right.
mean, I can see the Mormons probably have a very advanced thing where they go to Zoom meetings and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's probably all online now. They
Yeah,
probably,
Jehovah Witness, I don't think they're that advanced, but
right.
they still use the little cartoon books to show you. They show the Catholics as a real crazy guy with the Pope hat on, screaming, you know. Oh, and I'm going, oh, I'm Catholic, right? And I told you I used to let him in. Did I ever tell you that? I always used to let the Jehovah
No.
Witnesses in. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to make them sound like they're doing well
Yeah.
because I guess they're used to being, and most of them are really nice people. I had
Right.
back in Philadelphia, there was a nice looking woman came up to the door, and she goes, "Oh wow!" And she did the workout thing. I guess that's always what they say. You work out, and she's so nice, and nice looking guy like you. And I'm like, "Oh, what are you selling?" "Oh, I'm with Jehovah Witness." They go, "What?" "Oh wow!" There is no way you introduce religion, and you're a nice looking woman. That was like the first thing I see is a nice looking woman coming to the door. Is that when I was single, at least, that there was a possibility of sex, right? No matter how unlikely that was, that a nice looking woman would just randomly come to my door, right, and be attracted to me. But then you introduce religion to it, it's like might as well be the mailman showing up with a package. I'm like, oh.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then I look a little back, and there's like a 7-year-old boy, her son's back there. I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
this is the. Oh, thank you very, very much. I mean, you got to be a desperate man to just talk to someone knowing you're never. I'm like, forget about it. This is bait.
Right.
I mean, that That was it. The one thing. So those people, those door-to-door people. Is there anybody else I'm missing out there?
You covered a lot.
The door-to-door people.
Yeah.
You know, well, the only crime, and that I'm not saying that's a crime for those people, like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons and all that. And the thing that went absolutely zero right now, the crime of truancy. Truancy.
Truancy.
Yep.
Okay. I should know what that means, but
Being truancy is not going to school.
Okay, I gotcha.
It's a truant. It's actually your parents could get in trouble for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, it's not a real, number one offense. You don't do a lot of time for it, stuff like that. But you can go on your record if you're a truant.
Right.
Yeah, that's an old school thing, where you're like Fonzie. Fonzie in Happy Days was kind of a truant. I think it was.
Right.
So, well, listen, you stayed on. You let me yap on for an hour. Do you have anything you need to sell?
Wow.
Like, do you have a special comic book edition that you want to push? A rare find?
You know what? I always have auctions going on eBay. Just go check them out. We've got a lot of Batman stuff up there right now, Wonder Woman stuff. Check it out at Key Largo Comics. Check it out.
Hey, what was that? A Batman? What was that? The Batman thing? The Batman who laughed. You ever hear of it?
That's oh yeah, it's kind of more of a recent character. It came out maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Batman Who Laughed. Sure, it's basically a combination of Batman and the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a psychotic combination.
Yeah, and he wants to destroy the universe or something like that.
Yeah, and he's got like this spiked collar covering his eyes, and he's he's a pretty cool character actually, pretty popular.
Oh yeah. Oh, Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So where can the listeners find?
Find me or find that?
Yeah, find you. Not the Batman Who Laughs.
Oh yeah,
it's in the comic books.
Yeah, just any Key Largo Comics, all one word, on eBay or Twitter. That's how you can find me. On YouTube also, I do shows on YouTube for review books and stuff. So,
hey, are you, Steve?
Check it out.
I know you're not a big marijuana person, right? But
no.
Are you familiar with CBD oil?
I've heard of it.
Cannabinoids. It doesn't necessarily, and predominantly most of these that you see advertised are without the THC. They have very low levels. It doesn't even affect you. So CBD is a cannabinoids that they're used for all sorts of symptoms like anxiety, certain health issues and things like that, chronic inflammation. And right now we have a sponsor called Dekind CBD products, and you can find their products at www.dekind, DAKIND.com. I'm going to put it on the website. It's a local provider. Our friend Kanaho Alana, we had him on the show, and he's a sponsor of the program right now. And it's sold locally. You can find out where it's distributed locally, or you can have it sent to you if you're not in the area by going to www.dekind, DAKIND.com, or on you can go to the sponsors page. I'll put that on the sponsors page on the website. We also have the wine, Bellissima wines there. If you go to www.keysbartenders.com. and go to sponsors, and you can be a friend and go and get these products to support the program. And also, if you want to support us, you can go to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I post a lot of nonsense on Facebook and Twitter. It's Florida Keys Bartender on... Wait, did I change my name? It's Keys Bartender. Man, I should know this. I am so bad at knowing my tags or whatever. I think it's Keys Bartender.
I'll tell you what it is.
It's The Keys Bartender on Facebook. All right.
Right.
Key,
On Twitter, it's at Keys Bartender.
and on Twitter, thank you very much, at Keys Bartenders. And if you're, if you feel compelled, follow us and reach out to us if you have a topic or you'd like to ask a question. Steve, thank you very much.
You bet.
We'll be back next week. Yep. It's a long
Sounds
show,
good.
man.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I'll talk to you later.
Good stuff. All right. See ya.
Bye. Well, listeners, we might be doing a show. No, we'll probably be on Monday. But don't be surprised if there's another one before the weekend's out. Talk to you later. Bye.